All right, welcome to the round three special playoff show sponsored by Victory Chevrolet, where $19 down delivers any new or pre owned vehicle in stock. Make sure you visit victorychevycharlotte.com today. I'm the pet man, Matt Morrow. Thank you all for checking us out on our Sunday night show. We've been moving the show around mainly because of me. I've been available at different times the last couple of weeks. So, we're going to focus on the playoffs once again, as we have been the past couple of weeks. We did Friday Night Live this past Friday where we kind of reviewed the action in real time. Tonight, we'll kind of go through the brackets as we have been doing. I will have some people joining me tonight. Like I said before, I wanted to, let the guys, that are coaching focus on their own playoff runs. Unfortunately, the guys' playoff runs have ended in different fashions. If they want to talk about that tonight, I'll let them talk about it. But the main focus is going to be round three, and we got some great playoff matchups to talk about. We got one comment that just came in. James Law, he can't wait. I can't even get through the intro. He can't wait. James, we're going to get to it. We're going to get to it in the bracket. I promise you. So just hang in there for a few minutes. All right. We'll start with 4A again, and then we'll work our way down. All right. So I'll bring on the one guy that's here with me. He is the linebackers coach at Independence High School. That is Adam Big Eye Shelby Weber. There we go.
What's going on, Pep?
How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Sad the season over, but I'm doing pretty good. Doing the best I can be today.
I feel you. I feel you, man. You want to talk about your team this season?
Um, I'm proud of how we went out as a senior class. These guys were part of the change with Coach McFadden these last 4 years. Going from that COVID year, his first year, I think they may have won maybe 2-3 games. Then the last 3 years they won. They had three double digit win years. Made it to the third round, made it to the semifinal game. Unfortunately, lost Friday, second round of Huff. But those guys have, in the last 3 years, lost less than 10 games. They've been battle tested. I mean, great senior class. They helped bring Independence back to what people knew them as once before. Especially give a shout out to my linebacker Cam Martin, senior linebacker, is going to Winston State. That he's also playing in the Queen City Senior Bowl, and just kudos to him for being the one of the biggest leaders, one of the most important players on our team throughout this year in the playoffs. Did whatever he needed to do to make sure the team was in a position to win and be successful every week from a defensive standpoint. And yeah, man, great season. Shout out to Huff. Huff is a very complete team. Think they're different than what a lot of people give them credit for from the past. I think they can beat you. I think they can beat you multiple ways. I think the thing about Huff is very big and physical. They have what a lot of teams don't have. They have two big running backs. 22 can pick him up and put him down. He's a lot faster than what people think he is. The quarterback also is a dynamic runner as well. If you don't take account for him, but he also can throw the ball downfield, make you stretch the field. They had two good receivers, number 7, number 8. Number 8 is big time target, big catch radius, big play guy. 7 is like lightning in the bottle. If he gets the ball in his hand, he's very dynamic after the catch. And their defense is very physical, very in your face. They're gonna make you challenge them. They're gonna dare you to throw at the DBs. One DB in particular, Samari Matthews, he pretty much locks up one side of the field by himself. And so he's going to dare you to throw it at him. And that defense, they just fly around, execute at a high level under Coach Chachi. I believe he's a defensive coordinator. And, the head coach is the offensive coordinator. So they do a lot of good things together. They mesh well. And they put a lot of pressure on you. So, yeah, any type of game you want to kind of have with them, that's what they're going to play. If you want them to run the ball at you all night, they're going to run it. if you can't stop the pass all night, they're gonna put it in the air. So yes, so they're a very complete team. Also, they can win the special teams game as well, as far as kicking and punting. So, I mean, they're a very complete team. I think they have a chance to win it all. I mean, because I think everybody would have to come to Huff outside of, I think, Weddington.
Yeah, Weddington and Grimsley, the top 2 seeds. But we're gonna look at the bracket here in a minute. But let's go through the comments of guys that have already commented, and we'll get you guys some love. So Dakota McCann, happy Sunday, good to see you. Our guys, J-Man, running back at Mooresville. Big game last week, 136 on the ground, touchdown, 2 tackles and a forced fumble. Congratulations, man. Good stuff. I'm proud of you. We're going to get the Catholic, can't even talk, Catholic and Grimsley. We'll get to that here in a minute. Dakota McCann says 8 is legit. That's Tyron Evans. Yeah, he's a big-time player. Coach Tatum, all coach. Yeah. Walkertown went out, unfortunately, 12-6. The rematch against Salisbury, but like you said, Coach, you done a heck of a job, with that program. I mean, the growth within that program has been exponential, and it's, a major credit to what you and Coach Honeycutt are doing up there, man. Let's see. Jamarcus Hunter from J.M. Robinson's here. Yeah, hang in there for 3A. Give us a few minutes. We're going to get there. And then Miss Weber. There you go. Always supporting.
Oh, what's up, Mama? Love you, Mama.
Oh, that's nice. All right, so let's get to some brackets. Let's take a look at here and see what we got. So first of all, in 4A West, we had Grimsley moving on, defeating I got it, Southeast Guilford big 58-21. Big thing in this game, like we said on Friday Night Live, in the first half, that game was close. You see, it was 28-21 at halftime. So it shows a little bit of weakness there for Grimsley, in my opinion. And then they're taking on Charlotte Catholic, who defeated Palisade 31-7 last week. Great job on both sides of the ball for the Cougars. So Grimsley and Catholic this week. I think the good thing about this for Catholic is, Grimsley not as strong on defense compared to their offense, so they can run the ball. They can, chew the clock up. It's cold. So they're gonna make Grimsley be physical on the defensive side of football, and I think they can run it on them. Now, the flip side of that is, can they stop them? And you guys played Catholic, so what do you think about Catholic defensively? Can they slow down the Grimsley team?
I think that this year's Grimsley team has more so been on the ground than like last year when they had those 2 good receivers. So I think this game will be. I think that clock's gonna run continuously. Grimsley has a good running back. I forgot his name. I think he's a senior now. He's pretty much been starting for them for the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. I think they're gonna try to give him the ball a lot. Catholic, I think if it's a running game, I think Catholic is built to stop the run because they run the ball a lot. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if Grimsley has seen a team like Catholic with what they do. I think that's always the determining factor whenever somebody plays Charlotte Catholic. If you've never seen them before, you can't really prepare for it because of what they're doing. Is the weather ain't gonna help you with the type of offense that they play. Mm-hmm. And I think it'll be a real physical game. I don't know if Catholic could still maybe guard them, but they're gonna be disciplined enough where if you make a mistake, they're gonna make you pay for it. So I think Catholic's gonna be very well coached against the pass and different other things.
Yeah. So you look at Grimsley's schedule. The big game that stands out is week 2. They defeated Rolesville 35-20, and I remember watching that game on the stream. I think that was the week that we had the storms here in Charlotte, and I came home and I was watching that game. And they controlled that game from the start. I mean, honestly, the score does not dictate how well they dominated that game. And you remember Rolesville was coming off the victory over Butler where they looked so impressive. So that was a big win. And it looks really good now because Rolesville has been rolling in the East bracket. But since then, they really haven't been tested, to be honest with you. I mean, just looking at their schedule here. I mean, probably the best team they played was Southeast Guilford, which was a rematch from the first time they played them in conference play. So there's something to that the fact that they haven't really been in a tough situation in 3 months. That could be something that is very important when you look at this game. Charlotte Catholic, they obviously been through some battles with you guys and Butler. And then last week, or the last 2 weeks, they had a close game against Porter Ridge, 24-21 in the first round. And in Palisades, we know it's a tough team defensively. So I think Catholic is a little more battle tested. The first half of this game, we saw last week Grimsley struggled in the first half. It was close. If Catholic keeps this game close, and they go into halftime, within a touchdown, they've got a shot here. They really do. To your point, if it's more of a running game, then that's something that they're more comfortable with. Trying to slow down more so than a spread passing attack all over the place. But we know Grimsley has a really good quarterback, obviously, in Mr. Brandon, who's the 5-star recruit there by most recruiting services. The running back you're talking about is Mitchell Summers. We've seen him at CFI camp. He's a short speed kind of guy, but he can really run, man. He's got over 1,300 yards rushing on the season. Their receivers, they got a main guy is Cateau. He's a junior. He's got 40 catches on the year. And then they got Battle, who's another junior with 25 catches. So they're pretty balanced in what they do. They are more of a running team. It's like a 3-to-1 ratio, but I mean, that's kind of weighed, in because of a lot of blowouts, obviously. So anyways, let's see what we got in the comments here. So we got Tony O'Broom wants to talk about Huff. I'll save that for a minute. Let's see. Yep, Mitchell Summers. Yep. Thank you guys. You guys are on it as usual. No Face says Northern Guilford is the best team Grimsley has played. Okay. Yeah, Northern Guilford. Yeah, they're in the third round. They're a little different too. Their quarterback's out now. So yeah, that's probably a good call right there. All right. So I don't know if I can call this game. I've been making predictions on every game so far. This is a toss-up to me. I mean, I respect Catholic that much and what they're doing. You feel any kind of way on this one?
I'm not sure which way to lean. I think it just depends on, like, I haven't really been able to see Grimsley this year, see what they do well. I've seen Catholic. I think anybody can win that game, though. I think it can be a close one. I think that'll be a close game.
Yeah, definitely agree. All right, so we're at the Huff and Mallard Creek rematch. So let's see. So Tony O'Broom says in preseason, Huff has the best O-line in the state, not just because my son is on it. No, your son's a really good player. Respect y'all over there at Indy. Great season, real talk. All right, well, there you go. All right, thank you, Tonio. But now, obviously, Huff with the big win over Independence last week, and then Mallard Creek yesterday. We need to talk about this. Mallard Creek defeating Watauga 23-0. However, that game could have been a lot worse. There were several, and I'm probably being nice in saying that, several penalties called against Mallard Creek that kept this margin down a lot closer than it should have been. Mallard Creek had 4 touchdowns called back. And I was watching this game on the stream, and I watched probably 3/4 of this game, and some of these calls were just ridiculous. I mean, literally every time it got comical. Every time Mallard Creek had a big play, whether it was a touchdown or a big run for a first down, there was a flag coming out. I mean, the referees are throwing flags, and people are not even engaged with players. I mean, it beat anything I've ever seen. So I had to go on Twitter and I made a statement about, when teams in Charlotte go outside, there's a reason why, Charlotte feels some type of way, because this has happened, several times, with different calls. You think about the times that Huff has gone up to Grimsley and gotten screwed on calls, red zone goal line plays and things of that nature. It happened with Weddington when they gone out up into Grimsley and different places. So it's something. It's a bias against 7 of 4 teams, and I know coaches can't say that stuff, but I'll say it. It's ridiculous. And a lot of people on Twitter chimed in and said, it was the worst that they've ever seen. And some people are saying that they're going to send the film to the state association, and they should because it was insanity. I got a message from somebody that I really respect, and they said some things about Mallard Creek that I thought were unfair. And I think if you guys read between the lines, you know what I'm talking about. There's a bias. There's a bias against Charlotte, and there's a perception out there that schools in Charlotte, recruit kids, and they don't do things by the rules. I don't like hearing that kind of stuff, man, because everybody knows, what goes on these days. And I said it to another person who asked me last week, do Charlotte schools recruit? And I said, success recruits itself. None of these guys go out here and solicit these guys to join their programs. If you win, people want to be a part of that. Mm-hmm. So I'll leave that at that. But anyway, this Huff Mallard Creek rematch, we were at the first game. Huff won that game 33-0. Big part of that game, special teams, Mallard Creek had, several issues, on the punting part of the game. I think they gave up a safety and gave up some field position on a couple of bad snaps. And then Huff really just smothered, Mallard Creek defensively. So, Big Eye, what do you think about this one?
I think this will be a good game. I know they're familiar with each other, played each other this year. I think it'll still be a physical game. I think Mallard Creek has held Huff to, I guess if you want to say, one of the lowest scorers games they had. They held them to 33. I think pretty much everybody else they played, they was in the 40s. So I think they just have to – I think the kids may be up for it more the second time around playing them. I would hope they'd be up for it the second time around. But, Huff is just super dominant right now with everything that they're doing. I think it still will be tough for Mallard Creek to beat them. I think it may be a good game in the beginning, but I think Huff will just be Huff the way they've been all year this year, and they'll just handle business and finish the job. So, I like Huff in this one.
Yeah, we think about rematches, and, we say this a lot, that it's hard to beat a good team twice. Mallard Creek's a really good team, but to your point, Huff has just been so dominant against everybody. And you think about what, and I said this last week, you think about what Huff struggled with. Yeah, the only thing you can really reference is, week 1 against Northwestern is where they threw the ball. Mm-hmm. And we know Mallard Creek just doesn't throw the ball. And they haven't had to, do it a lot. But, with them coming in there with the heavy run game, if they can find a way to get, consistent success running the football against Huff, then, they have a chance. But that's a tall order.
That's a tall order. Find a way to neutralize the clock. They have to try to. I think Mallard Creek's kryptonite all year has kind of been offense, a consistent offense. So I think their offense will have to find a way to provide some points or at least win the clock, put together some long drives just to milk the clock, or at least try to kick some field goals or something like that. But they have to be able to score if they want a chance.
Well, to your point, you said Mallard Creek held Huff down to the lowest score that they've had this year, which 33 is pretty dang on good. But I remember Huff getting some really good field position, in that first game, and the Mallard Creek defense holding tough early on in that game. But, when they're, like you said, they're on the field so much, they got worn down. And then eventually, Huff is, so good that, they just wore them down. And then it just wasn't, a competitive game when we got into the third, fourth quarters. Deontay Berry, Huff offensive lineman, checking us out. Good to see you, man. You guys have looked very impressive so far. But Big Eye, I'm with you. You have to favor Huff. You have to favor Huff here. If Malik Creek can consistently move the football on the ground and keep it close, that's the best way. I don't think they're gonna suddenly find some explosive passing game. We know it's gonna be heavy run. Adam, you being a defensive guy, when you face a team like Malik Creek, you know it's gonna be heavy run, man. Doesn't that make game planning a little easier for you?
Yeah, I mean, it makes it easier for you because we can just load the box and just dare you to throw the ball. So, I mean, it's easier when you know, like, okay, they can't pass or all they want to do is run. You can just load the box and do different things like that. So, yeah, the game plan is definitely even easier against teams that could be considered one-dimensional.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we got comments flying in right now. So let's see here. We got chat administrator. He's checking in at work. don't get fired on the count of us. I appreciate you being dedicated, but please don't get fired. Keondae Marsh, best center in the state. Good to see you, man. Sincere Brewster checking us out. Good to see you.
Marsh, that's 50. Was he 50?
He's the center. I forget. I think he's 55. I think that's
55. Yeah, I say that's a heck of a player right there.
Mm-hmm. Sean, what's up? I think that's Sean. Is the whole Huff offensive line? I'm glad you guys are checking us out. Appreciate it, man. Amari Lawrence Broom, the left tackle, checking us out. Good to see you, man. Let's see. Jonathan Mitchell, Huff fan, says if Huff stays focused with a solid week of prep, no reason they don't move on. Mooresville versus East Forsyth is the one this week. All right. Well, we're going to get to that here in just a second. But we got to shout out our boy, Joe Hughes. Happy Sunday. See, all of you are blessed and highly favored. All right. Amen. Joe, I know you're in a good mood because the Cowboys actually won a game. So talk about a crazy game. Wow. Good gracious. Even when y'all want to lose, you still win. So there you go. Anyway, all right. Yep. Huff OL check-in. Well, you guys are a heck of a group, man. You guys are a heck of a group, technically sound. One of the best units in the state, in my honest opinion. I enjoy watching you guys, perform well together. So appreciate you guys checking in with us, man. All right. So let's go to the bottom side of the bracket. We got the East Forsyth Mooresville matchup y'all want to talk about. So chat administrator says Mooresville East Forsyth has the potential to be pretty high scoring. All right. So when you start looking at this, the thing about East Forsyth, we talked about it, very strong offensively. Bryce Baker and his receivers, they are a very good unit. They work well together. I'm going to pull up East Forsyth's schedule, but they're going to score. And they have scored consistently all season long. Now, the thing here is matching up against Mooresville. I think Mooresville's best chance of slowing them down is a good pass rush. I think individually the matchups with the receivers versus the defensive backs of Mooresville, they have A.J. Graham, who's a really good safety. But you start looking at, the East Forsyth receivers. I think they got an advantage, individually. So the East Forsyth offensive line, they're a big offensive line, but I think Mooresville has some guys that can get after the passer, and KJ Gillespie. Sky's Carr in the middle of the defense can push the pocket from the defensive tackle spot. And there's a young man, I think his last name's Turner. He's another edge player that, can display some good pass rushing traits for Mooresville. But Baker on the season, 36 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, an incredible ratio right there. Committed to North Carolina. They kind of have a mix of guys that run the football. There's not one guy there. But receiving, you're talking about James Gilchrist, you're talking about Murray, and you're talking about Richburg. They got 3 receivers over 50 catches on the season, so they can really throw the football down the field. Baker with 3,100 yards passing this season, so they are definitely more of a balanced team. You look at the numbers They're probably 50-50 run the pass. They've had some blowouts, which will skew it more toward the run a little bit, but you really break it down, they're more 50-50. Adam, you guys played East Forsyth last year, man. What do you think about those guys?
Oh yeah, they have a good quarterback, Bryce Baker, and a good receiving core. I think Mooresville's strong suit is their defense, so I'm sure that defense will be up for the challenge to being able to play these guys. But I know Mooresville, it has been historically good. I know those kids have always, I think they've been on the brink of success, and then I think they want their name mentioned with all the other better 4A teams in the state. So I think for them, this is going to be a statement week for them. I know their fans will travel well. I know the kids going to be up for it. I think as long as you have a quarterback, you have a chance, and don't sleep on Mooresville's quarterback. I know Bryce Baker is the bigger name based off rankings, but I know Mooresville has a leader behind center as well. That kid is pretty good. Obviously, you got our man, J-Man over here running the ball. So I think this can be a better game than what most people think. I like Mooresville in a close one.
Okay. Well, let's bring on Coach Dub Robert Washington. He's going to join the show.
What's going on, Pep?
Wearing them ugly colors.
Hey, we one more step towards the first pick. Let's go.
Oh man. Well, Coach, we're talking about East Forsyth and Mooresville right now. You got any thoughts on that one?
Not really. It's gonna be a tough game. I don't like to bet against Mooresville, so I got Mooresville on this one.
Okay. Well, we talked about the East Forsyth side of things, and Big Al will be right back in a minute. But let's talk about Mooresville here. So, Big Al alluded to the quarterback, Brody Norman from Mooresville. Dual threat kid. He can really run the ball well, kind of off some different action they like to do in the backfield. But he's throwing it well too. He's got some targets on the outside, and Dominic Morin. You got Barber, the tight end, getting involved in the passing game. I think it's Chance Bost. I like him, at receiver as well. And then I think the big key in this one, the offensive line, will have to really play well. Friday, third round is going to be cold. Mm-hmm. It's harder to throw the ball in the cold. They got to come off the football, run the ball. But like we said, I think they have the formula that can give East Forsyth some trouble, especially offensively. They have a good, running game. We mentioned J-Man. They've also got a couple other backs that get in there, and they can just throw different guys at you that stay fresh, and they come in waves. So it's going to be a really, really good football game here. I think it's going to be close. We saw in the first round, East Forsyth had a real close game against Butler, 38-35. And then we know Butler, we know their story. If they are able to look at that tape and see the things Butler had success with, I think they can emulate a lot of those different things and give East Forsyth some problems. And if the defense can just get a couple stops, I think that'll be enough here. I really do. Let's look at some comments here. We got a lot. Y'all really want to talk about this game. To scroll back up, man. Let's see here. Yeah, I gotta choose what I want to put on the screen. Okay, so chat administrator says last 3 games, Mooresville D-line has collectively averaged 10 sacks. Averaged 10 sacks? That's a lot. That's hard to do. It's hard to average 10 sacks, man. That's like 30 sacks in 3 games. Whew, that's a lot. In the playoffs? We got to check those stats right there. So Trayvon Gaither says he likes Mooresville this week. Says he likes that side of the bracket. Okay. Let's see here. So Dakota McKinn talking about Butler, East Forsyth. That Butler fumbled second drive. If it wasn't for that, it'd be a different game. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, the big thing about this is it's going to be a big crowd. They always have big crowds up there in Kernersville. Everybody go out there and be safe. And Chat Administrator, I'm sure will be there and giving us updates. So if you follow me on Twitter, I'll retweet the updates. And that's going to be a really good football game. I'm excited to see it. I really am excited to see it, man. There's a lot of conversation back and forth between people. Joe Hughes is also wanting the number one pick there, Coach Dub. So
his Cowboys won. His Cowboys won today. So y'all not moving in the right direction, Joe, to get that number one pick.
Who do you want?
Shoot, Travis. Why wouldn't you get Travis Hunter?
Okay, well, I got asked the question. All right, that's fair. Okay. This next game, I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on, but we'll talk about it briefly. It is Northern Guilford who managed to come back and defeat Marvin Ridge. I really thought they were going to win. I thought Marvin Ridge was going to win that game, and they were up. But Northern Guilford was able to come back in the fourth quarter and pull that one out 28-24. And then Weddington, number 2 seed in the bracket, they defeated Sun Valley 35-12 last week. And they are hosting Northern Guilford this week. I saw a comment about Northern Guilford. Let me see if I can get back to it here. That was way earlier. Mindy Gerard says, lots of bad calls made at the Marvin Ridge and Northern Guilford game. Oof. Well, we talked about officials earlier with that Mallard Creek game yesterday. So you don't like to see it in the playoffs. You really don't like to see that in the playoffs. But anyway, Weddington, I think, has really been playing some really good football overall. For them to defeat Sun Valley the way they did, a conference rematch where it really wasn't close. I believe Sun Valley got those 12 points late in the game when they took out some starters. Northern Guilford, they're playing with a backup quarterback, so they're more of a run kind of team right now. Weddington defensively is really strong and shutting down the run. Offensively, they've been efficient. I was really happy to see that the Weddington quarterback, Gregory Fee, got his first offer from Fayetteville State, which is crazy to me. I mean, Gregory Fee is a 6'5", 210-pound quarterback, dual threat, who has a cannon for an arm, and his first offer just came in as a senior. We're gonna have a recruiting show on Monday. Tuesday at 7:30, and I really encourage you guys to check it out because we're going to talk about a lot of things going on with high school recruiting, and you see really good players like that, getting their first offer, in the playoffs as a senior. It's crazy. It's crazy out here, man.
That transfer portal, Pep, and I ain't gonna get too much into it, but we'll
talk. No, go ahead. You got a couple minutes.
It's a transfer portal. I mean, we know what it is, especially at a high-profile position like quarterback. Quarterback, in most cases, most teams only take one or possibly two quarterbacks. So when you can dive into that portal and get someone that's already college ready, it's going to take away from the high school game. So unfortunately, a lot of our guys that could play higher, that would have probably been recruited higher in years prior, they're going to have to go to some of the smaller schools like a Fayetteville State. That, by the way, has success. They had a draft pick a couple years ago that went to the Broncos, a cornerback. So it's nothing to snooze at, but a lot of those guys are going to have to go to smaller schools and then kind of recruit themselves up. So they might stay, or they might say, you know what, I got some good film. Let me go up to a higher level. Now you become that kid in the transfer portal that's hurting high school kids. So I'm not actually surprised by that. It's just the position and the transfer portal.
Absolutely, man. Jonathan Leach is asking his name again. His name is Gregory Fee. Fee, Gregory Fee. He's on Twitter. He was one of our MVPs at the CFI Winter Showcase. Heck of a player, for sure, man. All right. 3A West. We got number 1 seed Asheville Irwin hosting number 8 seed West Charlotte. Irwin last week defeated who did they play? Smoky Mountain 35-14, and West Charlotte absolutely obliterated West Rowan 60-3. So West Charlotte will have to leave the confines of Beatties Ford Road to go up to Asheville. Now, we just talked about Mallard Creek going up to Watauga, and we saw what happened with the officials.
Mhm.
So West Charlotte, you just gotta have a mindset that hey, you just gotta beat everybody. I'm not scared to say it, but you gotta have that mindset. Coach Doug, you played in the mountains, man, almost every year in the playoffs. You gotta admit there's some differences that go on up that way.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it wasn't so much in the mountains as much as we played Friday. We had the same thing. I mean, it was a damn hole every play. And then I talked to the referee, was like, yeah, I see it, but they got to fight to get off the block. I said, that doesn't make the hold any lesser. I mean, we coaches, we teach our kids to stay inside, engage inside. And when you get those hands outside, that's a hold. I don't care what the situation is. But it was just one of those situations that they wasn't going to throw the flag. I think a lot of biases go into us being, in the Charlotte area, and right in certain situations, rightfully so. But when you're playing against some of these smaller towns, they don't always necessarily look highly upon the city area,
But why is that?
I know I had, so when I was at Shelby, playing and coaching, we had a player on the team whose dad was a official, referee many games, multiple places, football, basketball, baseball, all type of stuff. And he would say, like, when you're playing for Shelby or playing for a team in this area, you always feel like it's somebody against you, but you just don't never really know. You know what I'm saying? Like you try to stay positive, and this affects the whole 704, I believe. I think this affects the whole 704. His dad said every year in our referee meeting, they tell him, if you have Shelby on your schedule, make it hard for him.
Are you serious?
Yep. It's just his exact words. And so it's funny because we always had this for Shelby for basketball. We always had the same referee. And I ran into him at an AAU tournament. And I'm like, he noticed I didn't want to talk to him. And he was like, are you mad because of the playoff game or whatever? And we're like, I'm not mad at you as a person, but I'm mad at you as a referee. Like, come on, like, even though we won, like, y'all made that game real hard for us with the officiating. He said, man, I'm gonna tell you, they tell us to do that every time we get Shelby. So I'm sure that goes for if you get any Charlotte area versus Greensboro area or Charlotte area versus the mountains. And I can tell any West Charlotte player or fan is watching right now, you're going to get it. I'm going to tell you that right now. You're going to Asheville, Irwin. However, not really sure how they got the number 1 seed in 3A, but I'm going to tell you right now, all your antics, all the stuff that gets glorified down here where we at, like the compassion we show in pregame with players, even though it's never nothing outrageous, but the compassion you may show, even if it's players or coaches, if you go up there and do it, I do not be surprised if they throw you out the game. No warning. No warning. I'm telling you right now, your warning is right now. Like me telling you right now is gonna be a warning. Like they're gonna come up there. I will say, I had friends that played for Asheville Irwin in college. I will say, I don't know. I've never seen them what type of team they look like. Now they may have years where their speed is going to equal a team they play. I don't think their speed will equal West Charlotte's this year, but I'm saying don't underestimate what you see on tape. But I will say that they're going to make it as difficult as possible. It's going to make it as difficult as possible for West Charlotte to come up there and play them. It's going to be cold. They may put you outside. They may treat your fans a certain way. Like anything, they're gonna do it. That area, Asheville, that area. I mean, I'll just tell you, like, do not be surprised if that happens to you. I hope it don't, but I'm just telling you that prepare yourself. It's not even necessarily the people there. It just may be the people that's maybe I'll say maybe officiating, or it just what comes with going there, being from where we're from.
Times at time 10 when you talk about charter schools. So just think 704 plus being a charter school going off. I mean, it's tough. I remember a couple years, I think 16, 17, we went to Murphy, and I knew we was in trouble. I knew I was going to get a call when I walked in the field, and the field is named after the guy I'm coaching against. So I said, I'm definitely not getting a call, and I'm not accusing anyone or anything, but I think we can all agree that I support our officials. We got some great officials out here. I don't want to badmouth our officials. We got.
It's not all of them. It's not.
No, it's we got some really good crews, and I've been blessed to have a lot of good crews working for us. But every now and again, you get that one I think is more good than bad officials out there. But I know in the off season they made an emphasis about paying rightfully so. But also, if we're going to move in that direction, we got to get better training because some of these guys don't even know the rules. And I mean, because my job, coaches are gonna any penalty against your team, you're gonna argue is what it is. But the foundation of it, we also need to coach our kids up. So if a kid is doing something in the game, because guess what, one penalty in one game might not be a penalty in another game, which we can talk more on that later. It's not really consistent. So you got to try to adapt to the tone of the game and how the referees are flowing, letting the game flow. Because sometimes they'll let stuff go. And us as coaches, we got to coach that up in real speed, right? In real speed. So a lot of times I'm asking referees like, hey, what is he doing wrong? What should he do? And when you can't explain that to me, you shouldn't be throwing the flag. If you can't explain the correct way to do it, because if you saying it's the wrong way, explain to me the correct way so I can coach my kid up. Because again, the correct way might be different from one referee crew to another crew.
So Jonathan Leach is saying, as a former official here in Charlotte, surprised and embarrassed to hear things like that. They should be ashamed of themselves. Well, I think that's the problem there, Mr. Leach. There is no shame. That's the problem. All right. Well, as for on the field with Erwin and West Charlotte, let's talk about Erwin a little bit. They are definitely a passing team. They're passing the rushing ratio 250 passing to 213 rushing. So even in their lopsided games, they still have a advantage of throwing the ball to running the ball.
Not against West Charlotte.
That's
I'm just going to tell you, Smoky Mountain is not West Charlotte. I think West Charlotte's going to win big because I don't think Erwin have seen a dynamic team like West Charlotte. West Charlotte's well coached to begin with, right? And they got some super athletes. I think that what they do best is what West Charlotte does best. I mean, they got cover guys that cover one-on-one. I mean, they play zone, man-to-man, whatever the situation is. Erwin is not going to be able to get off in West Charlotte. West Charlotte, I say, easily wins this. I think it's going to be a lopsided win. If the officials, like we talked about, don't play it.
Yeah, I agree. I think if the officials don't play a part, I think West Charlotte wins by 4 touchdowns.
Wow. Well, when you look at Erwin's schedule, I mean, they've won. They only lost one game. That was week 2 against Mountain Heritage, 32-27.
And Mount Heritage is a 1A school.
I was going to ask you. I thought I saw them in the 1A bracket. So
they're in a 1A. They're in a 1A bracket, and I don't even see Mountain Heritage beating Corview.
Oh wow! Well, we'll get to that a little later on, but yeah. So we talk about this is a jump in what they've seen, all season. AC Reynolds, they did defeat AC Reynolds 28-21, but we know AC Reynolds has had some injury issues and things like that. Yeah,
this is probably gonna be the best team Erwin has ever seen.
Yeah. They do have some good players. They have a sophomore quarterback in Caden Engel who has some really good numbers. He's thrown 33 touchdowns to 4 interceptions and 2,700 yards. Their best running back, his nickname is Milky. I like that. 900 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns. They have 2 really good receivers in Lawson Reynolds, who has 62 catches for over 1,000 yards and 13 touchdowns. And then Michael Petty, who has 55 catches for over 1,100 yards and 15 touchdowns. So West Charlotte will, we know they have some really good defensive backs. So they'll get a little test from those guys, throwing the football. But you think about defensively what West Charlotte has. They've been playing Davion Jones, in the back end. They got Noah Collins in the back end. The pass rush for West Charlotte, I think, will play a big part in their success here. We know Coach Griner likes to really get after the quarterback. I don't know if Caden Engel, the young sophomore quarterback, will see a pass rush like, Coach Griner will bring to these guys. And then flip it around. The thing with Irwin is they've always been pretty good offensively, but defensively they've struggled. I think this is where West Charlotte, has an advantage. The young quarterback, Jamori Nichols, has really played well. He's coming into his own, as these playoffs have kind of gone along. And they're playmakers. They have multiple playmakers on the offensive side of the football that have been making big plays. The 2 running backs in Turner and Emery McLean have really run the ball well. And then their receivers getting involved with Rakeem Finch, Dante Nicholson, and then KD Cotton, who can star on both sides of the ball. So this is a situation where West Charlotte, I think their talent is going to shine through here. And then also the experience. I mean, Irwin, like we talked about, they're not – you wouldn't think they'd be the number 1 seed, in the 3A West bracket. There's a lot of great teams in 3A West. We're going to get to the rest of them here in a minute. But you don't think about Irwin being the best of those guys. And, I think one of you guys has said, how did they get the number 1 seed?
Looking at things. Pat, we're going to start seeing how terrible that RPI system was. And this is the first one is the number 1 Irwin in that 3A. I mean, you got to think about it. There's no way that a Sam Griner-led defense is going to allow a sophomore quarterback with no reliable rush or rushing attack beat them by dropping back passing it. Most of those kids is playing for West Charlotte. They go to the camps. They one-on-one.
That's what they live for. Yeah.
These are kids that go to the camp, Pep, and they be like, "When's one-on-one happen?" I'm tired of all the skill and drill. We want to cover one-on-one. You got some of the best cover corners, best cover DBs in the entire state with West Charlotte. So Irwin, what they think their strength is, I mean, because it's a different flow when you're playing Smoky Mountain versus West Charlotte. I mean, you got some kids, and I've seen it even in our game when we went up to play Mount Airy. It's like the athletes not the same. It's not. It's just they're not the same. So I think Irwin, like, they're really gonna get, like Cuz said, I will almost say 5 touchdowns, man. Like it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad because you gotta think about it. All it takes is them throwing the ball around, a couple picks. Them things going back to the house. We know that. We just gotta tell West Charlotte DBs just don't celebrate too much because they're gonna throw a flag on you. So go ahead.
All right, in the comments, Joe Hughes says funny things happen in the hills.
Yep, that's one thing I would say. I believe that West Charlotte can win by 4 or 5 scores, but funny things always happen out of their control.
James Johnson says West Charlotte versus Robinson in round 4. Okay, well, we're going to get to that Robinson-Dudley game here in a second. Jonathan Leach says 0-1 dogs on West Charlotte defense. Number 1 is Michael Griffin Jr., the linebacker who's very talented. Dakota McCann says West Charlotte wins big. And then Coach Peavy agrees with what we're talking about. So there you go. All right, let's go down to the next game in this bracket, which is the game that me and producer will probably be at. The number 5 seed Dudley Panthers are going on the road this year to the number 4 seed J.M. Robinson Bulldogs. This is a rematch from the third round last year where Dudley won this matchup. J.M. Robinson did lead this game going into the fourth quarter last year, but they just kind of ran out of steam and Dudley was able to win. So these two teams are familiar with each other. Dudley this season has been very impressive. I think I'm going to get the exact number, but I think they've only given up 13 points on defense all season long. I have never heard anything like that in the third round of playoffs. Like even when you put your backups in, you figure a school would kind of get loose for, a touchdown here or there. So it's been some real dominant performances for the Panthers. I saw them this summer in 7-on-7 action, and the talent they have in the skill positions, especially at receiver on offense, it's incredible. Coach Dub, I know you've talked about them before with all the track speed that they have in that program. How do you match up against a team that has so much skill, talent, and speed? Like defensively, how should Robinson try to play that?
And hopefully you get a good pass rush, throw the timing off of the quarterback. That's really what you got to do, and kind of allow them to run short stuff. Like you don't want anything deep. You want to kind of let them have anything short, whatever the case may be. But you definitely don't want that speed to get behind you because Dudley has they're probably the fastest team in the state for skill positions. I mean, these kids got, aside from maybe Mallet Creek. Mallet Creek's probably the only one that can match their speed. This is going to be a really good game. I actually got this as probably the best game of the third round currently because you got two teams that's talented as all get out. I just think that Dudley does have the experience. It is what it is. They got the experience. They've been winning a lot, but I think J.M. Robinson's well coached, and that could be an X factor in there where the coach knows how to utilize all his weapons. Man, you got LJ over there, Smooth over there running the ball. You got those receivers over there. You got a good quarterback. I think J.M. Robinson can really do some damage, man. And shout out to Smooth from J.M. Robinson.
Yeah, shout out to Smooth. I think he just surpassed 1,000 yards this year. So, so congratulations to him and his family. I think this game, man. I think this, like I'm with Coach Dub. This may be the best game I think in the playoffs. I think this game is one of the most intriguing matchups. I think there'll be a lot of talent, a lot of speed on the field. I think, like to go with your point, Pep, to ask about how can you try to neutralize it. And like what Coach Dub said, so you try to disrupt timing. So you got to try to get reroutes. You try to, if you whatever coverage you plan, try to sit and hold as long as you can before you break on balls. You have to create a pass rush D-line for Robinson. If you do get a chance to bat down some balls, you got to bat down balls. You got to be able to answer the call. I think that by far, I think this is the best team that Robinson has seen. I think this is the best team Dudley's seen, if I'm going to be quite honest. So I think it's a good matchup.
Yeah.
Both teams have suffered from everybody just feeling like because how dominant they've been that they don't play nobody. And I think that takes away from the talent of the kids and the pedigree of the coaches. So I think this is going to be a great game. Somebody got to win. Somebody got to lose, man. I'll be there too. With hopefully with Pep Man and produce. Hopefully
pending approval.
Pending approval. Hopefully I can get there on the sideline and be able to just feel the atmosphere. If not, but I still may come.
I'm coming with y'all too. Why not? Why not make it a family?
Oh Lord.
We gotta get security. We gotta be able to get security clearance first.
All right. So looking at Dudley's schedule, the closest game they had was a matchup a few weeks back against Eastern Guilford. They won that game 21-2. I think I remember our Dudley guy saying that they had some injury issues going into that game. I'm surprised he's not here. I mean, usually on every show, but that being said, you start looking at Dudley, they have a bevy of guys with just some incredible numbers. So first of all, they've got two junior quarterbacks who I don't know if they split time or what the deal is here, but they got very similar numbers. And Crawford and Jeffries, number 3 and number 8. Crawford has 26 touchdowns to 2 interceptions on the season. Jeffries has 18 touchdowns to 4 interceptions this season. They both played in all of their games. That's an interesting thing right there. I wonder how they
I think Dudley does a good job of they literally are going to utilize every piece of talent they have.
Mm-hmm.
I know last year I think they had 2 1,000-yard rushers with a 1,000-yard receiver and a 5,000-yard passer and quarterback. So I think they're going to utilize all their speed and talent and put them off in. And I think that's what makes them harder to game plan. If I got 2 quarterbacks playing, and I'm sure they both athletic and can run and they can throw just based off the numbers. So shout out to Coach Hall, man. My guy, Coach Hall, offensive coordinator down there at Dudley, man. And my guys, Coach Best and Coach Anderson. Man, good luck to you guys. But, yeah, that staff, man, they have a great staff down there. And Coach Dees is the DB coach. And I think one thing about Dudley is that not only are they fast, I think they're big and fast.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at, like you said, to your point, Big Eye, looks like Jeffries is more the dual threat quarterback. Looking at the rushing numbers, he's rushed for over 400 yards and 6 touchdowns on the season. But they got like 3 main running backs here. LJ Southern, 931 yards and 9 touchdowns this season. Brown, they're both seniors. Brown with 908 rushing and 10 touchdowns on the season. And then Wilson, who's a junior, with 482 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. And then receivers, I talked about their receivers. I saw them this summer. They've got 4 receivers with at least 40 catches. I mean, it's incredible. Neely with 48 catches for 13 touchdowns. Newkirk, 45 catches and 11 touchdowns. Bartley, 49 catches and 10 touchdowns. And then Lee Jr., 39 catches and 6 touchdowns. All 4 of them seniors. So you got 4 legit threats at receiver, multiple backs, 2 quarterbacks. Like you said, game planning. I know you try to look at tendencies and see who's in the game, because when this person's in the game, they do this. But that's a lot for a high school team. That's a lot right there to try and game plan for. And then defensively, they've got 2 guys over 100 tackles in McCollum and Motley. Sacks, they've got Rogers, who is a heck of a player, Andrew Rogers. I studied him for Prep Red Zone, North Carolina. He's got 21 sacks as a sophomore. Elliott has 19 sacks. McCollum has 11 sacks, so they can really get to the quarterback. Ratliff, another player, has 12 and a half sacks. As a team, they have 86 and a half sacks on the season. Some crazy numbers right there, man.
Man, that team gets after it, man.
Gracious.
They're gonna get after it. That's what I'm saying. I think this is, man. I think with the RPI system, I think they got this matchup right. But
yeah.
I think this is gonna be a great game, man. I think this is gonna be. It's either gonna be a slugfest or it's gonna be an offensive showcase.
Yeah. So the good thing, like you said, is number one, these 2 teams know each other, so that'll help with the game plan aspect and tendencies and things like that. But we saw Robinson, and they played Kings Mountain last week. We were there, me and producer. And going into the game, I thought Kings Mountain was the favorite, but I mean, Robinson came out and smoked those guys 27-0 in the first half. And it was
Kings Mountain's gonna be Kings Mountain.
What does that mean?
If you know, you know. No disrespect to Robinson, though. By far, no disrespect to Robinson. But I wasn't surprised that Robinson smoked him like that. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
What he's alluding to, I'll translate that for you. That Kings Mountain typically lose games. They typically lose. They've never won a state championship. Am I correct about that, Big Eye?
Yeah, nobody ever expects Kings Mountain to win where we're from.
All right. I'll leave that there. But Robinson, the biggest thing about them, they're just so efficient. Like offensively, they have really good balance. Like you talking about LJ Smooth Watson, and at the running back spot with Ennis Styles, the freshman. Their offensive line, I think, doesn't get enough credit. That was the biggest thing that stood out to me. Those guys really came off the football in the running game. They did a good job in pass protection for the quarterback, John Bissonnette. And they were efficient in moving the ball down the field. A lot of motions, a lot of things to try to, kind of get the defense, kind of off kilter. I think we're going to see a lot of that on Friday. Given the numbers that Dudley has, you're going to have to do something to try and slow them up and make them think a little bit instead of just having them come play straight ahead and play fast. So I think, Coach Seidel and those guys will have a lot of motion shifts, mini formations, things like that to make the Dudley defense think a little bit. In the comments, let's see here. Joe Hughes says we should.
That's why I want to
go. I don't. I this is my third time going to Robinson, and I have not been to the concession stand yet. It did smell good when I walked in. There was a funnel cake stand right there by the front. So,
if Laramie Watson is watching, please let us know about that concession stand. we want to be prepared when we go.
Oh goodness. Marisol Barrientos is chiming in, says rematch Dudley with different results this season. Stay tuned. Number 3, Torres. And she's talking about Mr. Torres, who had 2 interceptions in the fourth quarter to seal that victory over Kings Mountain last Friday night. So thank you for watching, Marisol. Appreciate that. So Trayvon Gaither says he likes Dudley. They're averaging 696 night.
I think he corrected that. He said 5.
Did he correct that? Okay.
Yeah, he corrected
5. That's all. 556. Okay. It's still insane, man. That is insane. Well, Miss Black, I was there last week. Were you one of the ones that were yelling at me? I forgot to tell y'all. I got yelled at by several Robinson fans at halftime.
How you get yelled at, Pep?
Because I picked Kings Mountain on the preview show.
Lord Jesus, Pep, you shouldn't have did that.
I know. I told him, I said, I got y'all. I'll make up for it.
Hey, Dub, cuz you see what happened when we don't come on the show? He just forget his expectations.
Yeah, he do. I told him he's trying to go solo.
I was trying to let y'all lock in on y'all's playoff matchup.
We are not the Jackson 5, and you are not Michael. You try to go solo.
You picked Kings Mountain over Robinson, Pep? Lord Jesus.
Oh, goodness.
That's because who you got this week.
Who do I got this week?
Who you got winning that game?
It's a toss-up. Who you got?
For the sake of CFI, we all gonna take Robinson.
Yeah. Let's go Robinson.
Let's go Robinson. Smooth. I hope Smooth get 2-3 touchdowns.
Man. Yeah, and I got to go with Coach Seidel on this. I think Dudley will make enough mistakes because even with them having a high-power offense like they do, sometimes when you average that many yards, it works to your disadvantage because if you don't start that way, you're going to be on foreign territory. You get what I'm saying? So I'll take Coach Seidel on this because I think he'll come up with enough wrinkles, enough adjustments. He'll catch that defense in places they don't supposed to be at. I think he exposes some holes because there's some holes there. There's always holes on every team you play, and I think he'll have them prepared and they'll expose it. So I'm gonna go Robinson on this one.
Okay. All right, more comments. Dakota McCann says, look for number 50 on the line for Dudley. Going to be a good player 2028. A freshman. Okay. I'll look him up. Because we're getting ready to do rankings updates on Prep Reds on North Carolina. So
make sure you put the last Joe post up there too. I got something to add to that. Now, once you finish going through.
God almighty. Joe says J.M. Robinson Dudley deserves to be a regional semifinal. Yeah, Yeah, there's a lot of good games early in the playoffs this year. Let's see. Gabby Bird saying she's got some of her favorite picks all season of the O-line on Friday. I guess that's the Huff O-line. I guess, all right, well, Huff O-line guys, y'all still watching. I guess y'all gonna get some good pictures from Miss Bird there, who is an excellent photographer, by the way. Matter of fact, let me show y'all something. This is the picture she took of me, the first Queen City Senior Bowl. Hold on, I'm gonna show you.
Look at this guy, man.
I'm telling you, look, you remember when Cisco tried to leave Drew Hill?
Does Pep know? Can't nobody see? Oh, he made it his own. He took over.
Then he got a name at the bottom. Look.
You gotta show some love to Miss Bird. She's a good photographer.
That's the picture that found his love of his life right there.
That was not on my profile, no.
That was it.
Oh, you spoke to me. I'm so sorry, Miss Black. I'm so sorry. I should have known better.
Pep's a celebrity. You gotta yell your name. He's a celebrity. If you don't tell him his name, you don't say, "Hey, Pep, this is." He ain't gonna know who you are. He a celebrity.
No.
Now he'll act like he know who you are. Yeah, ma'am, how you doing?
I mean,
he really don't know. He really don't know who you are.
This is why I've been doing the show solo. This is why right here. This is why. I'm naughty, man. Yeah, I see. It's okay, Miss Bird. I will promote you any chance I get. It's okay. I got enough. Trust me, I got enough.
You hear that? He got enough. The superstar status, man.
Look,
come on, man. Trayvon says thinks he's going to see a Dudley Hickory regional final game. Ooh, I don't know. I don't know about that, Trayvon. I don't know. We'll see. And then Joe Hughes. There you go, Coach Dub.
So Joe is the Randy Jackson. If we Jackson 5, he is Randy Jackson. Joe knows this too.
So Joe just pop out when he wants to.
Just pop out when he wants to.
I don't think Joe been on the show in 3 years.
Look, wasn't in the original group, but he's a Jackson.
Randy Jackson.
Randy Jackson, baby. Hey, Pep, you remember the movie when they was packing to leave and Randy jumped out there with Randy was a wild boy.
Wow. Anyway, Mr. Villanueva, good to see you, man. So here's the thing. Jesse came down on the sideline and told me I was wrong at halftime.
Hey, don't worry about it, Jesse. He picked J.M. Robinson this time. 3-5 is going with J.M. Robinson. Don't worry about it.
Man. Oh, man.
Shout out to J.M. I hope J.M. gets the job done.
I'm sorry, Miss Black. I'm sorry. So when I was going in, I was so focused on trying to get through the through the security line and then get set up because I bring so much stuff with me because I have all our cameras and microphones and all that stuff. So I had to take it all out and then get it all back together. So I apologize. If you speak to me this Friday, I will know and I will acknowledge you the proper way. I promise. I promise. And your son's a heck of a player. He had a good game. Joe, there you go. We're just gonna call him Randy from now on.
Yeah, Randy.
This is for you, Webb. I don't know what you do there. Did you say something?
What I do, man? Tell me what I did.
We don't know, Mr. Best. Tell us what you're talking about, man.
Oh, that's my guy. That's one. I think that's what it's Dudley Coach, my guy, Coach Best. Hey, Coach. Coach. I have love for you guys, but I'm waiting security clearance, so I gotta make sure I'm cheering on the home team to get some security clearance to get in.
And Omar Porter chiming in says not even Tito. Well,
Omar, he's not even Tito, man. Omar, he's a no call, no show.
Oh man.
All right. Well, I want to let you know, Coach Best, that CFI is Pep Man. Pep Man is choosing J.M. Robinson. And Coach Dub is choosing J.M. Robinson. And Coach Brandon, the producer, is choosing Robinson. You know, I like Dudley in this matchup, but
you literally
you ain't got clearance yet.
You literally just said CFI is taking J.M. Robinson. And then a coach gets on here and you change your whole tune. See? I tell you.
See, no, he's trying to set the tone of he can go both ways. Well, yeah. I picked J.M. Robinson, but I changed it. I went with Dudley. So he's on the fence. So he's in a win-win situation.
Win-win.
Oh, boy.
He's on record going for both.
J.M. Robinson fans, I want you to know, if Adam Big Eye Shelby Weber is there on Friday, y'all yell at him now. Y'all yell at him.
I like that. Hey, well, we're going to put it out there. Let's just put it on out there then, Pep, since you want to tell me yell at me. I like Dudley in this matchup. I do hope that smooth Larry Watson has a great and safe injury-free game. I will say.
Don't be trying to clean it up now.
I think trying to clean it up.
Play good. I hope Smooth does play good, and Coach Gilmore, my guy, DB coach over there. But I like Dudley, man. Hey, man, I've been supporting Dudley on the side for a long time.
Well, all the Robinson fans, I want y'all to listen to me, man. Listen, y'all, if y'all win, y'all know what portion of the show to clip for y'all video. You know what portion of the show. I'm telling you, it's gonna come down to
Jesse. She said Jesse gonna find me. Now hold on.
Hold on. He will. He came and found me on the sideline.
That's your question, Jesse. That's your question. If y'all were to lose this game, are you still gonna come find me? That's what I want to know.
Well, thank you, Miss Barrientos. We'll
Did she put his middle initial up there?
I think she tagged him on Facebook. I think that's
name, man.
I got his whole government up there.
I'm waiting on the D-boy. D-boy.
See, Joe, the show was very, very smooth without the other guys here. You know, we were done last week at this time. And we still got half of 3A West to go through. And then 2A and 1A.
D-boy. Yeah, Coach Hall, make sure you mention CFI and Pep Man Matt Morrow in your speech. You know Big Webb rocking with Dudley.
Don't be asking for that. You're asking for trouble.
Hey, they know Big Webb rocking with Dudley. They already know. That's what I'm saying. That's why my Coach Best got on here saying that. They already know Webb rocking with Dudley, man. They already know.
Yeah, he gonna clip when you said you picking Robinson and you gonna pick Dudley. So,
yeah. It's a no-win situation for you, as it was a win-win situation.
Hey, I'm doubling down on Dudley.
Oh, okay.
Dudley by 14.
We'll see how that works out for you on Friday night. Anyway, all right. Next game. This is a big one. Hickory, 3 seed, hosting Crest, the 11 seed. Hickory defeating Statesville 42-7, and then Crest going up to Oak Grove and defeating them on the road 35-7. What do you guys think here?
I think that that second round, how they beat Statesville, that was impressive because Statesville is a really good team, and Hickory handled them. I like Hickory in this matchup. I think Hickory, I think Crest showed, they lost earlier this year. They showed some vulnerability, and I think Hickory, Coach Joe, he's going to take advantage of that. I think, they got a veteran quarterback. They got a good running back. They got receivers. I mean, Hickory is one of the most well-rounded teams in all of the NCHSAA. So I think they'll have too much for Crest. And I know that'll probably go against what I don't know. Big Eye might pick against them. I'm not sure. But I would say Hickory in this one. In a tight, it's going to be a close one. I don't think Crest's going to lay down. And Crest could very well pull it off because they're battle tested. And they have the talent to match Hickory's talent. But I'm just saying Hickory is Crest did show some vulnerability this year.
Them Crest guys on here, Rob. So be clear with your pick. Are you saying that Hickory is going to beat Crest?
I said they're going to beat them in a close one. Yep. That's what I'm standing on.
Big Guy, what you think?
I'm just gonna put this out there, man. No shape or form am I a Crest High School fan, but I definitely respect the pride and the tradition of the program.
I think.
Which being said, that Cleveland County football is just different, especially when you get them in playoffs. You know, the Cleveland County football has always been on the back of Shelby High and Crest High when it comes to dominance and winning state championships.
What about Kings Mountain?
I believe that Crest goes into Hickory, and I think Crest comes out on top. I won't say what the score, how much they win by. I just know Crest is going to get the W. I think that this year Crest is just different. They're mature. They're older. They can attack you multiple different ways. They can get it going in the air, get it on the ground. And let's not be mistaken now. If you think you just going to run the ball on Crest for X amount of yards, that never's been the case.
I think this pick got a little hidden motive behind it. I think you picked against Crest earlier this year.
No,
and,
I did.
They end up winning. They end up winning. They end up winning, and they gave it to you.
No, it ain't that. I would never go against one of the best teams, the second best team in Cleveland County. I wouldn't go against them once they lead the county.
What about Kings Mountain?
Man, come on, man.
They're Cleveland County, right?
Cleveland County is really Shelby and Crest. I mean, and nobody else even knows the other. This is what I'm saying. Let's stay on top.
Oh,
I think that Crest wins this game. I think that Hickory ain't seen a team like Crest. I think where we come from, Crest has seen good teams, good talent. And I think that while we respect Crest, will respect their opponent. I just think it's different. I see the quarterback that they have. He's getting it going now. And the running back, Aiden Carson, man. I mean, Aiden's battle tested. He's bigger, faster, stronger this year. You got Mike outside at receiver. You got the DBs, two of the best safeties in the state, and Lyric Pettis and Pluto Surratt. So it's gonna be a lot of talent on the field, man. And I think Crest beats them, man. I think Crest goes on to beat them, and we get a Ashbrook versus Crest rematch.
Wow. All right. Well, in the comments, let's see here. Some of this stuff, man, I can't even put on the screen. Joe Hughes says Crest has not allowed a 200 passer this season. Wow. Okay. This is going to be a heck of a test. Brady Stover and the Hickory offense can really throw the football. This is a heck of a matchup, man. Joe also saying it's an Aiden Carson game for Chris. Thinking it's going to be a heavy run game. I could see that to try to keep Hickory offense off the field. Joe also talking about the new quarterback for Crest, Eli Hamrick, coming down from AC Reynolds. Different dimension to the Crest offense. Asset as a runner is understated. Yeah, absolutely. It's a different Crest team than it was earlier in the season. And to your point, Big Eye, Crest defensively against Hickory defensively, Crest, I think, has the better defense between the two teams. Hickory, I think, has the better offense, but the level of separation between Hickory and Crest offensively is not as big as the separation of Crest and Hickory on defense. When you take those things into account, like you said about the schedule, Hickory, they don't play in a really strong conference. Statesville's probably the closest game they had in the regular season. They played Statesville much better the second time around in the playoffs. North Lincoln, they did play, but they destroyed them. North Lincoln's also in the third round. We're going to talk about them in a second. But those are probably the two best teams Hickory has seen. Crest, we know who they've seen.
You know, Crest playoff-wise, they don't play Charlotte Catholic that's in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Shelby that's still in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. They have played Ashbrook still in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Also, I mean, even though Kings Mountain lost last week, they played another team that made it to the second round of playoffs.
South Point.
Played South Point, you know. So, I mean, they played the better competition the better teams, and I understand that Hickory is the defending state champion. So
because let me say this: outside of Ashbrook, put Ashbrook aside, none of the teams that Crest played is better than Statesville, and that's my opinion.
I mean, that's I mean, hey,
I don't know about that one.
I don't know about that one. I think Charlotte Capital may be a better team than Statesville. Potentially, I think Shelby's a better team.
And let me rephrase that, because football is about matchups. It's like boxing. I'm talking about the matchup, like the talent. I mean, Catholic's gonna beat you with a system. You get what I'm saying? That's what they are. They're gonna run that system. But outside of that, and it's hard to prepare for it. So they're like South Point, right? But as far as talent, I'm talking about across the board. Crest hasn't seen this, again, Ashbrook aside. They haven't seen talent across the board like this. And like I said, when you got talent across the board like that, when you could run, because Hickory could very well go for 300-400 yards. I'm not saying against Crest, but they can. If they want to dominate the run game, they can dominate the run game. If they want to sit back and pass around for 300-400 yards, they can do that. They're a balanced team. And when you're balanced teams, and you should know this because you're a defensive coordinator, when you're planning against a team like that, especially with especially when you got experience at the quarterback position, right? And that kid is battle tested. That kid has won a state championship before. When you're talking about Crest, yeah, I do respect that they got a new quarterback, but again, it's something called chemistry. These boys up in Hickory been playing together for years, and some of them in Crest have too. But when you add a new quarterback to that dynamic, it better click at the right time. I feel like Hickory is balanced, and they're the better balanced team. That's why I'm gonna rephrase it too. They're the better balanced team than what Crest is seeing, because Crest plays defense. They're gonna take away what you want to do best. They would remind me of the New England Patriots under Belichick. Whatever they're playing, the six-time Super Bowl champs, by the way, Pep. But nevertheless, Crest is gonna take away what you do best. They're gonna force you into doing something that you're not comfortable doing. Hickory's comfortable doing everything offensively. I'm just telling you, just be careful. I think that the way they beat Statesville, be careful with that one.
I say to go against that point, that I think the best talent Crest sees is the talent they practice against in practice. I think that's what made Cleveland County who they are when it comes to football and come playoffs. The best talent, a lot of the talent that we see is the kids we see in practice.
Okay. Not this
I mean, I think Hickory's a good football team, but I just think that
this go. I hear you during the duration of regular season, and I hear the Cleveland County in you. And one of my best friends is from Cleveland County, Derek Kyle. He's probably gonna call me and chew me out, obviously. It is no knock in Cleveland County, because I've been one of the biggest fans. I feel like football guys Cleveland County is the county for football in the state, period. And I'm talking about this matchup. Hickory is a different beast. I'm telling you. The Hickory is a different beast. They're well coached. Their balance is again, it's certain teams that do got flaws, and you got to that's why we game plan and stuff and kind of fill out where the weakness is at, what can we take advantage of. Hickory doesn't have one, bro. Like I'm telling you, they're balanced. You're not going to go in there and throw them around, even though they like to throw it around, but they can also run it. One of their running backs is one of the best running backs in the state. I mean, he's on the Queen City Bowl, right? He's one of the running backs on the Queen City Bowl. If I'm not
Isaiah
mistaken.
Lackey, yeah.
Isaiah Lackey, and he's a bowling ball, and he can fly. So it ain't just about that passing tech. I'm just telling you, I wouldn't go, if I'm Crest, I wouldn't go into this like we got this in the bag. Y'all gonna have to come play, because again, if you stop the run, they're gonna hit you with the pass. It's something. This is too balanced.
All right, I think we got that covered pretty well in the comments. Trayvon Gator says, "No disrespect to Crest, And let me say something. Anytime that someone says no
No
disrespect,
disrespect, they disrespect you right after.
yes. Hickory by 10 to 14 points.
It ain't gonna be that far. They ain't gonna do that to him, but
Ain't Coach Gaither is he at community school Davidson?
I think he got a kid that goes. I don't know if he
Oh, well, we'll get
Trayvon, you can answer that question, and then I'll
we'll
put it
get
on
to them here
screen.
real soon too. Go ahead. Let's go ahead and get to the next
one. Joe says turnovers will be key. No one capitalizes on turnovers like Hickory. And Joe also saying Ashbrook is better than Statesville. We were talking about, Statesville hadn't,
And Joe, I said Ashbrook aside. See, Randy, we're gonna have to leave you at home when we go on tour. I just said Ashbrook aside.
Oh man. Trayvon says not no more. So there you go. And Jesse's tired of hearing about Cleveland County. So we're gonna move to a matchup that doesn't involve Cleveland County. That is North Lincoln going on. No, they're hosting, North Lincoln hosting 15 seed Ashbrook. North Lincoln getting past West Henderson last week, 54-21, and then Ashbrook beating South Point for the second time this season, 31-28. So I'll let you guys go first. Thoughts on this one?
Let me set it off. I'm gonna tell you something. I want to say this first and foremost. I don't think Coach James and his staff get the proper credit they deserve. These guys are great coaches. Whenever you beat South Point twice, you've outcoached something. So shout out to Coach James and his staff. I think those men do a great job because you got to think about it. When he took over that program was in shambles. That wasn't a good program he took over. And he took over, and not only is he winning on the field, his kids going to college. He got a kid that's playing for NC State right now. Think about Ashbrook before him. That wasn't happening. Every now and again, his kids are getting in college, man. And shout out to Coach James, Coach Biggers, that whole staff down there. They're doing good. And not enough people say it because there's certain coaches that get certain praise in the area. And for other coaches that look a certain kind of way, we're not perceived that we can outcoach anybody. And he went down there and he gave it to them boys twice. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't think that's ever happened. So let's give him his props. And I know he's not done and he's on to the next game, but I wanted to say that as a coach of Gaston County, I don't think certain coaches get the props they deserve. I think that man can coach his ass off. He's built a great program. And guess what? It's nothing but up from here. He's got a stable foundation there, and them boys are believing. And to go and beat a powerhouse like South Point, because for years, South Point, you could say because Cleveland County, they didn't respect no one other than possibly South Point for Gaston County. They laughed at our at our football in Gaston County and some of these other. Coach James is making this thing back respectable, and shout out to him and his staff. So with that being said, I think that they got a tough task going against Coach Basil. I think Coach Nick Basil's still down there, right? I think he was.
I think he took the year off, but I think he's still involved.
He's involved in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, North Lincoln's going to do what they do well, right? But so does South Point. I think Coach James, if he can continue to lock them in and they stay focused, I think they'll come out with a victory. I also think that Ashbrook should have been ranked higher than North Lincoln, in my opinion.
Pep, I'll say, Pep, I've been on record to say this in the preseason. I told everybody how good Ashbrook was and can be, and they laughed. But look at us now. Look at him now. Third round. I told you I thought they could have possibly have beat Crest. They dropped that game, and I think the good thing to credit their coaching staff with Coach James and Coach Zeke is how they refocused themselves after losing to Crest to say all our goals that we set out for the year is still obtainable. Right? They beat South Point, I think, for the first time since Coach Biggers was in school, and he doubled down on that by beating them again in the playoffs, right? So I think that's just a credit to that coaching staff, also to the talent that Ashbrook has whenever all those kids are locked in, dialed in, and everybody's doing their job consistently for 4 quarters. I like Ashbrook in this matchup as well. Like I said, I think Ashbrook. I mean, everybody slept on Ashbrook, like you said, because a lot of people just sleeps on Gaston County football. Period. And I think I think that Ashbrook just has to continue to go out and show them. Like, we're battle tested. We're a good team. Yeah, we had a slip up. It is what it is. But I think, like I said, I think that you can get a Ashbrook Crest rematch for round 4. I believe that's what's going to happen. So yeah, I think Ashbrook can beat you totally different ways, man. I mean, they got good running backs. The quarterback is also a dynamic runner, and he can throw, and he loves to throw the deep ball. So I think that, and I think the difference between North Lincoln and Ashbrook is set up for whatever type of game you want it to be. Ashbrook has been in dogfights, slugfest. They've been a part of blowing teams out. So I think that team is poised enough for whatever type of game that North Lincoln want to have. And I think that Ashbrook comes out on top.
All right. Boom Gordon says Ashbrook is ready. Joe Hughes, Ashbrook first 10-win season in 2 decades. Boom Gordon also says Coach James doesn't get the respect he deserves. I'll tell you, I greatly respect him. He's a Queen City Senior Bowl coach this year, second time. So he's got my respect for sure. Joe's also saying the first Crest Ashbrook game he wants to see a rematch. We were there at the first one. Crest pulled that one out 29-12, which was coincidentally the worst loss for Ashbrook this season. They've only lost twice. Their other loss was the Kings Mountain. North Lincoln's only lost to Hickory, but that was a big loss in 60-25. Joe's also saying the best thing for Ashbrook is North Lincoln runs a similar scheme at South Point. That's triple option, and they really dominated the line of scrimmage last week. So that's the thing for Ashbrook here. From talking to different people, North Lincoln, they will pull and pitch a lot more than South Point. South Point will keep it a little bit more than the North Lincoln quarterback does. But we know Shannon Wingate is a big threat in that triple on the dive. And depending on how they block it, which I think they veer block it at North Lincoln. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But sometimes if you're veer blocking, you can use penetration against a defense like Ashbrook. But that being said, they're very strong at all 3 levels. So Caleb Gordon, he had the game-sealing interception last week against South Point. He'll have another, big responsibility playing that triple. And to Joe's point, even though it's a little different, there's different variations, and their, responsibilities could change, based on tendency, but it's good to see something like that 2 weeks in a row. It makes it easier to rep, defensively. Now, on the flip side of things is where I think it gets interesting. North Lincoln has a really good linebacker in Ryan Bassani, who I think he's either going to the Shrine Bowl or East-West game, one or the other. But besides Bassani, I think Ashbrook, with their big offensive line, has an advantage to control the line of scrimmage in the run game. And they've got multiple guys that can run the football. The quarterback, A.J. McClain's been playing really well. The running backs, Martino Smith and Savion Lindsay, behind that big old line, are playing well. J.J. Gordon's making big catches on the outside. So everything's clicking the right way for the Green Wave. But it's not going to be easy. North Lincoln runs that triple very well. They're a machine with it. And even in, games where they got lost, like in the Hickory game, they still put up rushing yards. So they're going to stick with it. They're going to run it, and they're going to run it. They're going to run it. Joe's saying North Lincoln is in the 3rd round for the first time since 2019. So I think for both of these teams, this is the first time they've kind of been this deep in the playoffs. So that's really cool to see here. Now, like you guys said, I do like Ashbrook to win. Maybe by 10 points here on the road. And I think we might get that Crest Ashbrook rematch in the 4th round. I think so.
Okay. I can't wait to do the show next week.
Oh,
God.
Go ahead, Rob. I'm calling it. Chris versus Ashbrook round.
Oh man.
Hey, cuz, don't let me get you. Hey, perfect segue. Remember what you said about East Rutherford too. Pep didn't get the clip queued up, but
They did.
I've had a lot going on. We know what you said though. Tell us what you said.
No, we know, but we want to remind the audience on what I said because it was a passionate argument. No, I'd rather segue into the clip.
Well, you're gonna have to wait for
segue into the clip. Hey, what I said still holds true. I said that when they start the cream rise to the crop, certain two-way schools will take care of business and someone may not. East Rutherford was an outlier. Shout out to Coach Russ and those guys. They handled business, went down there and knocked off Reedsville. Also, you got to understand who Reedsville is. I never thought Reedsville was that good. Just coming from where I'm from.
Here we go.
They're the defendant.
Shout out to East Rutherford, man.
Defending state champion.
That has the number one player in the whole country on their team.
Hey, listen, man. Look, none of that matters. They don't got the number one coach in the country on their staff. Listen,
Coach Russ is the Cleveland County guy. He's a Cleveland County guy. Man. Did you know that, big guy?
Yeah, I know Coach Russ. I texted him after the game and said, "Hell of a win, Coach." And, you know, I think that's a great program win, a great win for the city, man. A lot of people don't know that East Rutherford, I think during COVID, they didn't have a team, and they lost a lot of their kids to other schools in the area. And now Coach Russ came in and established that culture and took on the pride and tradition of the school in the town.
That dude went to Reedsville. He went to Reedsville. Some would argue, that's not from Cleveland County, would argue Reedsville is one of the best football towns in North Carolina. Is that arguable? Can one argue that, Pep?
Yeah, one can argue that.
Okay, one could argue that. I'm saying for their fans.
I don't think so. I think they sleep and drink football up there,
but they do. They're fanatics. They went up there and whooped them. And I'm talking about they scored what they needed to do today to do that, bro. We cannot poo-poo that. We cannot poo-poo that. That's probably one of the biggest wins in the entire up until this point in the season. That's the biggest win. It's the biggest win. They took down the state champions. If anybody was going in there, no one picked East Rutherford to win. No one.
Mm-hmm. Only one man I know that openly picked East Rutherford outside the coach staff is my guy, Teron Kelly. Teron Kelly is a very avid East Rutherford supporter. East Rutherford can go play IMG. He's going to pick East Rutherford.
but remind you,
shout out to those guys, man. Big win. Great win, man. Shout out to those guys. Landon Gooseby caught the game-winning interception. You know, I coached him when he was at Shelby. Shout out to Zaylon Watkins, linebacker, D lineman that's committed to Gardner Webb. So, you know, those guys did unthinkable. Them guys did. I would go on the record and say I didn't think they was going to be able to beat them. But them guys when they did the unthinkable. So shout out. So you got to give credit when credit is due.
And speaking of credit when credit is due, did I not tell you that they was going to upset somebody?
Got to cue the video.
See, this why we need the video evidence, because he was passionate that it wasn't going to happen. He was passionate. I'm telling you. But anywho, let's go East Rutherford. I think they got a lot more shots.
It's a rematch with Brevard too. So the only thing about it now, East Rutherford, they got all the momentum in the world and all the confidence in the world now.
Yeah, you mentioned it's a rematch. So Brevard beat East Rutherford in the first game, 24-21. They're in the same conference. Pulling the stats from that game, East Rutherford actually threw the ball a lot on Brevard. The quarterback, Landon Flynn, threw for 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. And that was probably because they held their running back down. He's really a star. Brandon Pinkerton only rushed for 38 yards on 24 carries. So my first thought is they got to find a way to get the running game going against these guys. Pinkerton rushed for, I had the stats here. Here's a big reason why they beat Reidsville too. But he's rushed for 1,850 yards this season. So I'm sure Brevard, that was probably the best performance in slowing him down this season. But Brevard is pretty balanced offensively. The numbers in that particular game really don't stand out. Just a balanced attack, man. I'm just kind of looking through. Pinkerton had 2 fumbles in that game. So protecting the football for East Rutherford will be big. But anytime you got a close loss like that, and in the rematch, we've seen it plenty of times where that team that lost has the extra motivation to try to get over the top and win the football game. So the first game looks like it was at East Rutherford, and now this one's going to be at Brevard being the 9 seed here. Looking at the stats, it's a toss-up, but you got to think the momentum from a big win like that in the playoffs. What do you guys think? Is that a help or is that a hindrance at this point?
I think it's a help. I think the playoffs is all about going on the road, winning big games, or defending home turf. So I think that this game, I think that coaching staff and those players believed whenever they went down there. So I think that it'll help their confidence. I think it's a help. I don't think it'll hurt. I don't think they're going to get too high or get too low. I'm sure they celebrated it Friday. But I'm sure those coaches went right back to work to try to get their get back for Brevard Saturday, Sunday. So, I think East Rutherford will come out motivated, even more motivated, ready to play.
Joe's saying big thing is adjustments, absolutely, in a rematch. Does Brevard change? If you won the first matchup, how do you handle a rematch? Do you change what you did since you won the first time?
It depends. I think in these situations, be who you are, right? You don't want to be reactive, you know what I'm saying, to what they're doing. You start doing that, then you start playing uncharacteristic, and your players start not doing the stuff that you've been practicing. If you got to just have your adjustments and your wrinkles ready, but do the same thing you did previously. It might not be there, but also have your adjustments too.
Interesting. Dakota McCann saying East Rutherford had 355 rushing yards against Reidsville last week. Yeah, so that's gonna be a fun one to watch. I'll be watching for those updates on Friday. All right, let's go to the next game, which is Salisbury and Forest Hill. Salisbury beating our buddy Coach Ian Tatum and Walkertown 12-6 last week, and then Forest Hill's defeating Randleman pretty handily, 38-21. What do you guys think about this one?
I think Forest Hill. I think this will be a good matchup. I know Salisbury lost their big time running back last year, so it's good to see that team was able to bounce back and continue to play good ball. I think Forest Hill's played. They in a pretty good conference. I know they play Monroe every year, so that's always a battle for first place. I think Forest Hill's being able to beat Randleman on the road, 38-21, shows what type of team they are and can be. I think. Also, Salisbury having to keep Walkertown to 6 points is also a big-time thing, too. I know that offensive Walkertown had gave Reidsville trouble in their matchups early. So I think this will be a good game. I think it'll be a good game. I think you can go either way, but I would lean maybe towards Forest Hills.
Yeah. The thing with the Walkertown rematch, so Walkertown put 47 on Salisbury the first time around. That was early in the season. And then Walkertown only scored 6. So that just shows the level of progress Salisbury has made from the start of the season to now. That being said, I like Forest Hills also. Forest Hills has settled on a quarterback. Zach Dilworth is playing really good football. He's kind of brought some consistency to that role in their offense. He's getting the ball to Jarrell Boulder and all those guys offensively. And then defensively, they've got a guy, Rodney Smith, who's playing very well at the linebacker spot. Kamarion Massey at the DB spot's playing well. Braxton Grace is a big threat on the offensive line. And Coach Deese, Coach Deese had him in the 4th round last year where they lost to Salisbury. You know that, big eye. and I think he's going to get him to the 4th round again right here. Salisbury, it's very, very impressive the way that they've kind of bounced back from losing all those talented kids to graduation. But Forest Hills, like you said, battle tested throughout the year. They played Ashbrook week 1. They played Walkertown. They played Community School of Davidson. They played Monroe. So they've seen some good teams. And then, like you said, what they did to Randleman. So I like Forest Hills to move on right here. Coach Dub, you want to add anything?
No, I think this is going to be a real good matchup. But I will pick definitely Forest Hill in this one.
All right. Next game, we got Monroe. They are hosting West Stokes. Monroe last week, coming off a big win over Burns, 56-14. And then West Stokes, Coach Loman beating his old school in East Surrey, 35-21. What do you guys think about that one?
I think that I think Coach will have West Stokes ready to go, ready, and be prepared for the matchup, be ready to rise to the occasion. But I think Monroe would just be too much for him in the long run, all the speed that those guys have. And I know they're going to be eyeing my guys in that second game to try to get a rematch from a few years ago from playoffs. So I think Monroe wins this one.
Coach Dub, you want to add anything on that?
Monroe.
With Coach Saul and those guys, they're playing really well right now. Some people had some questions on their strength of schedule. It's just unfortunate the West Charlotte game didn't happen because of the weather. But I like Monroe right here as well. I think Coach Loman has done an excellent job at West Stokes in his first season. But I think Monroe's just got a little bit too much, for these guys on the offensive side of things. I think West Stokes will be able to maybe run the ball a little bit on them. But I mean, Jordan Young, Caden Chambers, Quay Knotts in the secondary, Zion Bus Lindsay on both sides of the ball as a linebacker and running back. Monroe's got a lot of talent that I think West Stokes ultimately over 4 quarters will have some trouble keeping up with. All right. Final game in the 2A West, we got Community School of Davidson, the 10 seed, coming off a big win over Mount Pleasant on the road, 30-7. And then we got Big Eye's favorite team, the Shelby Golden Lions, coming off a big win over Maiden, 28-0. All right, Big Eye, what you got here?
Well, I mean, I think, like I say, man, I think this one is the time of the year where the cream starts rising to the top, man. I like Shelby pretty convincingly. I mean, like I say, man, I think they're just battle tested. I think they're the better team, better players. I like Shelby in this one now. I'm not really been able to predict the score, but I think Shelby by at least 2 touchdowns.
Coach Dub, CSD.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you this: when we were talking about East Rutherford, and also Community School of Davidson was another team I talked about in 2A, if y'all remember. Somehow no one remembers. You gotta get those clips. But anywho, I think
I trust what you're saying.
Community School of Davidson is well coached. They got athletes, and they're starting to get healthy because they had a little run towards the end of the season where they would suffer from injuries, but those players are starting to get healthy. I think this game is going to be closer than what some might predict. I would say keep eyes on this game. This could get interesting because you got people that's going to sleep. Oh, they're just a charter school. Okay. Go in there with that mentality. Go in there with that simple. What's it? What's that word? That complex, whatever. What is it, Pep?
Inferiority.
There you go. Go in there with that.
Big.
I was gonna tell you, man, it's a little different in playoffs when you come to Shelby to the jungle, man. You see the black lines out there, man. People tend to get spooked.
The black lines spooking?
Yep.
Okay.
Black lines gonna spook them. They're gonna come in there. They're gonna look around, and they're gonna see all them banners and be like, "Wow!" Then you beat, man. So I think that Shelby gonna take care of business, man. So I can come on home next week and see them take on Monroe, who I like in that matchup as well. I like Shelby against Monroe as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it.
That's not a big surprise there, big guy.
I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. I like Shelby this week by 14. Then against Monroe, I'm gonna give him 7. Maybe 10.
You remember what happened last year? You said this about Reedsville. You saw what happened.
Hey man, look, man, I always got faith in my guys at Shelby, man. Those my guys' hometown. I love those guys. I love the coaches down there. I love the kids down there. Man, yeah, man. I think they're gonna they're gonna get the job done, man. I'm not worried. Not worried about Community School of Davidson. Shout out to those coaches, that staff. He had a good year.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going for Community School of Davidson. How about that?
Well, it seems like we got 2 games we going to get for the game. I like Shelby over School of Davidson. You like Hickory over Crest. I'm gonna tell you, Cleveland County gonna rise to the top.
Joe says Oliver Morris is impressive along the defensive line for CSD, and then Brandon Albert, also a Queen City Senior Bowl selection, does a little bit of everything for them. Trayvon Gaither, he knows CSD, says they're gonna play hard all the way to the end, and they're not afraid of anyone.
No, they almost got Forest Hills. Was it last year or something like that?
Last year, yeah.
Yeah, they almost got them. You know why? Because they went in there.
Shelby's not Forest Hills.
Okay.
All
right.
Randy's also saying to put that on the table at 2 Kings, Webb. So.
Yeah, I'm putting it on the table. Crest money line, Shelby money line.
Statements made by people on Football Focus Weekly do not reflect the ideals and beliefs of everyone on this show.
My bad, Pep. Dudley money line. Dudley money line, Crest money line, Shelby money line.
Oh, nutty. Coach Decker checking in from Christ the King says, Coach Washington, tell him CSD tough to deal with.
I'm trying to tell you. If you ain't seen it, and see, that's the thing. Like when people I call it max prep watch. When they sit there and they don't have knowledge of the team, like I'm speaking of a team I have knowledge of. And if you go in there thinking that you're better than them, and you're gonna sleep on them, you're gonna get a rude awakening. That's all I'm gonna say. And that's not nothing towards Shelby. That's any team that's gonna play that team. Because if you think about it, who did they play the last week?
CSD played Mount Pleasant,
and Mount Pleasant was favored to win that game, right?
They were at home. Yeah, they're the higher seed. Yeah.
It was a higher seed. They was a favorite to win that game, and I'm pretty sure they went in there. Hey, here's this little charter school that plays in whatever y'all perceive our conference to be. That's really good. But anywho, they went in there like we're gonna beat them, and they got beat. They hung 30 points on them. So I get that this is not the same matchup, but if you go in there with that same mentality, because again, last week if someone would have picked East Rutherford, you would have been saying the same thing about Reedsville. Well, maybe you wouldn't, but it would have been someone saying.
Then the thing too, I think the biggest thing stand out, Shelby defense hasn't allowed a touchdown yet in playoffs. I was gonna tell you, man, things get a little different down there at Georgia Memorial Stadium, man. I'm just gonna tell you, it gets a little different down there during playoffs. So, like I say, man, CSD may put up a fight. Shelby, we always respect our opponent, but cream should start right to the crop round this time.
Hey, CSD got cream too, baby. They got cream too.
What makes you think that?
I'm gonna tell you something. They probably got the better defensive player in this game, and I'll go on record saying that.
The better defensive. Well, one player ain't gonna beat Shelby.
But I'm just saying they got the best. Jack Smith is one of the best. That's also a Queen City Bowl. I ain't gonna give all that away. Y'all gonna have to work for this. I'm not gonna help y'all scout.
No, who's y'all? I'm not helping nobody. I'm talking. You said they got the best defensive player. What? Is he a D lineman? Is he a linebacker, a DB?
Go watch.
Jack Smith is the D lineman who was selected for the Queen City Senior.
Yeah, I'm sure he may be good, but I say again, I'm just
he's different. He different.
He might be different. Nobody's taking that. Shelby's different. Strength of schedule, man. Strength of schedule, dog.
So was Reedsville. Reedsville was different.
Reedsville is not Shelby.
Oh, goodness.
Well, last time seen, Reedsville beat Shelby.
I know. That's one can say that. One can say that. For all time, All
Okay,
time.
we got 6 minutes left in the show because we were
Okay.
approaching 2 hours, which I did not anticipate. So
See
I
how y'all
thank
did
everybody that's watching right now, and appreciate your dedication. Mount Airy and Star Mount. What do you guys think? Rematch.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Previously, I have picked Mount Airy to beat Corvian. Remember that? I said that's the only team that could beat Corvian.
You done ran Big Eye off.
Yeah, because he be wrong. You know, he's the Jermaine Jackson. He's Jermaine. Want to go solo? Anywho, so I mean Mount Airy. I mean we shut Mount Airy out in the second half. We have figured them out. Honestly, and we had a game plan to beat them. We just went up there and we played wide eye the first half. Like, oh, we're playing Mount Airy, and I think our first possession we ended up fumbling it, and they ended up scoring. So it was some of that momentum. But once we figured it out, man, they couldn't score on us. We stopped them several times in the red zone, and we started putting up points. So after playing against them, they're definitely vulnerable. They're not what I thought they would be. Again, they're still state champions. They still got a 42 game winning streak. Much respect. They're well coached, first class community, first class coaching staff, first class players. But they're vulnerable, man. They wasn't what I thought they was. I think if we would have had another half, that thing could have got interested. If we didn't come out and get rattled. So I think Starmount got an opportunity to beat them. I would say this is a toss-up. I don't want to pick either, but I definitely think that Mount Airy is vulnerable right now. Because if Starmount watches our game film, watch the second half, we showed the keys to beating that defense, and I'm not going to give it away up here. I'm at that offense. So you just watch the second half of our game, and it'll tell you what you need to know.
All right, well said right there. Just real quick, Jesse says to change the name to Cleveland Footballs. You know, I have long said that county probably deserves its own show, as much as those guys talk down there. And there might be one. I'm not one to know if they have that or not, but
they got good reason to talk. That's a hell of a county, a heck of a county.
Joe says that Mount Airy Starmount is definitely a toss-up considering how close the first game was. First game, Mount Airy defeated Starmount 21. I think it was 21-14 was the final score in that one. I remember Miss King. She's a big Starmount fan. Was on the show. Talking about that game for a little bit. So, all right.
And I don't think Starmount's the same team as when they played them. But all I'm going to say is Mount Airy is very vulnerable at this moment. From what I saw up close and personal, I think Starmount takes full advantage of it. And they're not going to go in there with the wide eyes like we did. You're not going to wow them. They're in the same conference. Most of those kids know each other. They probably grew up together from similar area. And I'm thinking it's going to be a dog fight, man. Either way it can go. Either way.
All right. Well, next matchup involves a team you know well, Corvian, the 5 seed, going on the road to take on Eastern Randolph. And our fans on Friday Night Live told me last week Eastern Randolph is near Asheboro, where the zoo is. So if you don't know where Eastern Randolph is, it's in the middle of the state. And Eastern Randolph doesn't have stats on Max Preps, so we're gonna have to kind of look at their schedule here. They are undefeated on the season. They have a couple close wins against Asheboro and Central Davidson. Central Davidson being more of a double wing team. I think they're a 3A double wing team. Very close win over Randleman, 27-26, which we saw Randleman lose to Forest Hills in the 2A West. So gives you an idea of where Eastern Randolph is. And I think Corvian is probably on the level of a Randleman, honestly. So I think it's going to be another really good game right here. Coach, what do you think about this?
I think Corvian beats them. I don't think Eastern Randolph seen a team like Corvian. Again, going back to what I spoke about with Hickory, far as what Corvian does, I mean, they got the senior leadership. They're well. To start off, they're well coached. Much respect to Coach Chris Emil, his staff. Those guys they can coach their butts off. They'll make adjustments. I've had a coach against them. I've seen them make adjustments on the fly. Those guys can coach. But most importantly, it starts with their quarterback, AJ Jackson. AJ, I've been saying that he runs that offense to perfection. And also he plays DB, but they got a strong defense. I'm not sure if it's a better pair of defensive ends in the state coming off those edges. Also, don't sleep on their inside guys. They got a great O-line. You're not coming in and pushing them around. They're not because I know charter schools get the reputation, okay, we can run down their throat. You're not going to run down their throat. They're disciplined, they're athletic, they're tough. They're the total package, and I think that this game's not going to be close. All respect to Eastern Randolph, but I don't think they've seen Corvian. I think what a lot of the, some of these boards, you start seeing how people start talking like at first, oh, don't worry about Corvian. They don't play nobody. Now they starting to get nervous because the ones that know, because I've been watching Coach Chris build that program. He's built it to beat mountain teams. He's built that program to win this 1A championship, because winning a 1A championship is different than winning a 2A, 3A, 4A. It's got to go through the mountains. You got to go through and play some of these teams that's been playing since they've been 5 years old together. I mean, they don't have transfers up there. They got kids as what the running back now has been a running back 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The linemen, they know what they do. They run it to perfection. But Coach Emil built his program correctly, built it to beat these teams. And I think it's going to be Eastern Randolph's going to get a big surprise. So I got
Miss King is watching, and she says Mallory won that first game 17-14. Thank you, Miss King. Appreciate that. Trayvon Gaither says Corvian by 2 touchdowns are on a different level this year. Different. And Joe's saying they finally looked at the game tape. So
yeah, they finally looked at it, because it was just, and I thought it was so funny. I said, man, Corvian gonna mess around and win a state championship. And then guess what happens? Because being at a charter school, guess what happens? You're good when they start saying, oh, they're cheating. Ain't nobody cheating, man. We got a lottery for a reason. Ain't nobody cheating. We can't, just say that. Guess what? Sometimes it's gonna be that year that you put all your talent together. But that group of men has been building this program for the last 3 years. It's just now we're starting to see the work that they put into that program. I've been watching them because I've been playing against them, so I've been slowly but surely seeing it. I saw those seniors that was back then that was sophomores. I'm like, yeah, this kid gonna be good once they start getting experience. And those guys done a great job of just building it the right way, and they're battle tested. I mean, some of the people might look at their schedule and say, well, they didn't play anybody. Well, I think that's disrespectful to CSD. That's disrespectful to CTK, Christ the King, that went down and gave Murphy their run for their money. That's disrespectful to Mountain Island, that, again, one more half, that thing would have got interested. That's disrespectful to all the teams in our in our conference. So Corvian's that team is representing our conference, and I think they're going to start realizing how tough our conference was. And I'm not talking about looking at the scoreboard, because even when we played Corvian, a couple mistakes here and there, that game could have been closer. But they came and they played ball. Hats out to them, and they dominated, and they outcoached us, outplayed us in every aspect. And that's what you're going to get when you play a Corvian team this year. So good luck. Just don't be screaming charters cheap. They the right way and they doing their thing. Shout out to Corvian.
Coach Decker from CTK again says Corvian's been together for 3 years. They're tested, and it's their year. He also says that they're good in all 3 phases.
All 3.
All right. Real quick, last 2 games in the 1A West, we got Murphy and Robbinsville. Robbinsville going on the road to play Murphy, and then Mountain Heritage and East Wilkes. Mountain Heritage hosting East Wilkes. What do you think about those 2?
All right, so the Murphy game, I'll shoot the Murphy game. I think Murphy beat Robbinsville. Robbinsville, for whatever reason, I think they're not the same team they was last year, obviously. That running back that graduated, that was a good portion of the offense. And that kid was just flat out good. I don't care who he played for. He could have played 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A. He was a good running back. I think Murphy goes in and they win. win this particular game. They played them earlier this year and they won. But again, Murphy, I think they'll win. Now this East Wilkes and Mountain Heritage game, this can get interesting. I think East Wilkes is a good team, but they've been hot and cold. So it depends on what East Wilkes team shows up. They've been hot and cold. They've underperformed in certain games, but I think right now they're clicking. They're doing what they need to do. Mountain Heritage, again, with the RPI the way it's built with all the predetermined brackets, you never know how good a team really is. Or you just holding that number one seed because of your conference or, who you played or whatever the case may be. So this is a game that Mount Heritage, we'll learn a lot more about Mount Heritage. If they can beat East Wilkes convincingly, I think we'll know that they're for real, and then we'll know how far they'll go. But I don't think no team beats Corbion.
Coach Peavy from Corbion says, on behalf of Corbion coaching staff, thank you for the kind words, Coach Doug. All right.
Absolutely. Hey, they got to stop sleeping on us. They're going to stop sleeping on on our conference. Go get that championship.
I did not plan for a 2-hour show, but thanks to everybody that's watching. We have over 1,000 people watching, so please share it out. Let everybody know that you get your playoff preview in depth with CFI. Other shows may not last an hour. I won't say no names, but at least with CFI, you're gonna get in-depth breakdowns on the west side. I only got time for the east. I only got a little bit of time. Any players watching, please make sure you sign up for the CFI Winter Showcase December 7th at Rocky River High School. CharlotteFootballInsiders.com has all the information. If you have questions, please send me a direct message on Twitter. We've had several college coaches that are going to be in attendance reaching out. They want to get an advanced idea who's going to be there. So register, sign up so we can send your information out to those college coaches. It's the best opportunity to get evaluated for potential scholarship and real recruiting exposure. Don't spend your money on BS. Spend it where it's going to count, and that's with us at CFI.
Hey, all right. Let me say something real quick.
So
Coach Deck, tell your players to come. Bring your son. Coach Deck his son is really good. His son is really good. Number 19 for CTK. Check him out. I think that this will be a good camp for him to come to, especially some of our charter schools, some of our smaller schools that don't get a lot of recognition. They don't. Maybe they sleep on us for whatever reason. Come to this showcase. My boys have personally benefited from this. I got a kid, Jatwan Patton. I know y'all heard the story. He would not be at Presbyterian if the coaches did not see him in live at the showcase last year, the same showcase last year. And I think he had a pick 6 as a freshman at Presbyterian. So if you think you're being slept on, come to this camp. Also, do not listen to these handlers, these trainers, these coaches that, guess what? Don't go to that because it's just a money grab. Money grab for what? If we bring 15 to 20 college coaches to a camp, times whatever you pay for that camp, $25 to $50 on the average, times how many coaches that's present. Because it's cutting out the middleman. It's cutting out the middleman. You get a direct evaluation for your players and at you as a player. And also, I would encourage all the coaches out there, particularly the head coaches, show out for your players. They bust their butt for us. They work hard for us. Go there and advocate for your kid. Bring your business card. It means something to other college coaches when the head coach is there. I always get it. Oh, man, you're here watching your kid. He must be really good. I said, I believe in my kid, and I'm going to support him. And sometimes that might be the difference that could make or break.
Well said there, Coach. Appreciate that. Everybody have a good week. You see us Friday at Jam Robinson. Say hello. And make sure if well, anyway, I'll let y'all handle that. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Good night, everybody. Hey, Carolina Panthers. I told you Bryce Young coming into his own, baby.
He looked good. I just hate y'all
quarterback. Thank you, Coach. Absolutely. Good night, everybody.